This is part 4. No, this is part 7 of Mark of the Beast and the Antichrist. Now, this is a long sermon, but I managed to get it done. Now, so far we've talked about the Revelation of 12 and 13 and talks about different things of it. Okay, if you will turn me to Revelation 17, verses 1 through 18. Revelation 17, verses 1 through 18. Now, this talks about some more of what the Antichrist is going to do. Now, here in this part, in chapter 17, talks about a woman. A woman getting involved with the beast. This will get quite interesting, believe me. Okay. Now, you know in Ten Commandments talks about we shouldn't do anything on like having sex outside marriage. Sleep around with women and men that we're not married to, or sleep around with men or women with women. That's wrong to do that. Well, in verse 17, when God talks about lust in people's hearts, guess what? Revelation 17 will cover that. Let's get started. And this woman here will represent as Jezebel, who was known as the worst whore or prostitute in that time. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. And this is part 7 of the Antichrist and Mark of the Beast sermon. Then one of those 7 angels who had the 7 bows came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, and I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, the harlot, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the habitation of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. Fornication is another way of pronouncing that you having sex with someone and you're not married to them. Alright? If you're prostituting, you're paying for prostitution. If you're doing something you shouldn't, as far as having sex with a woman, that's fornication. God says you shouldn't do it. But here's what. This is where y'all get in trouble if you continue doing this. So in chapter 17, verse 2 talks about with whom the kings of the earth, committed fornication, and the inhabitations of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. So he carried out me away in the spirit and into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemies, having 7 heads and 10 horns. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abomination and filthiness of her fornication. And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abomination of the earth. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints, and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus. And when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement. Verse 7 says, But the angel said to me, Why do you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast, that carried her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. And the beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go into perdition. And those who dwell on earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world. With when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. Verse 9 says, here is the mind which has wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. So the 7 heads are basically mountains. Therefore, in verse 10 it says, there are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen. One is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. So let's get this straight. The 7 heads is 7 mountains. And each mountain, basically, I guess what it is, it's talking about the 7 countries that will be fighting in the total mass, in the totals. I don't know, but I'm just guessing. But I tell you what, that's going to be bad. And the kings must be the kings of the world, as far as, the president of let's say our president of the United States, you got a president of Germany, you got a president of China, you got a president of Australia, you got a president of each country. And each one's going to be fighting against everybody. It's going to be one big fight, one big war. And we're all going to be fighting against nation to nation to nation to nation. And it's all going to be a bunch of mess. Literally, it's going to be a bunch of messes. And it talks about later on in the book, I forgot exactly where, I have to look it up, that this war is going to be so bloody that blood is going to float up like a river as far as to the height of a horse, full-size horse, hair. Now that's a lot of blood. So basically it's war. It's going to be war gets war gets war gets war. I try to make it as clear as I can with y'all. Verse 11 talks about the beast that was and is not, is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. Perdition. I guess going to war or getting ready. Now this basically explains to you what the 7 heads and 10 horns represent and what they are. Verse 12 says, now the 10 horns, which you saw on the 10 kings, who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as king with the beast. Okay, so basically, where do we have kings? Where do we have kings at? We have kings everywhere, do we not? Do they wear crowns? Okay, so that must be what they're talking about. The 7 heads, which represent 7 countries, and the 10 crowns, which represents 10 kings, with a crown on their head, who's going to have 1 hour to fight with the beast. Verse 13 says, these are one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. So basically, again, all these kingdoms you see that's on this earth, wherever our kingdoms are located, is going to give them all authority to the Antichrist. So basically, the Antichrist is going to be the ruler, wants to be the ruler of the whole entire world. He wants to be the one ruler to control the whole world. And that's what's talking about this. And we'll continue just a few seconds in part 8.